fly. We're going to have to get that fly because it's just going to... Dan, quick! Oh, I loathe flies.
Okay, it's like that episode of...
Oh, yeah.
This was two knitting forces collided.
Oh my gosh. Are you joking me? Are we in a pub?
On Sunday morning, it was like there was chemistry.
Do I look like a girl who drinks pints?
Of water.
Still in my pyjamas.
Chemistry in this room. It was. You could cut the atmosphere with a knife.
Get it.
Ow!
How did that not get it? Bread. Oh, for heaven's sake. I can't tell you how much it annoys me, darling.
The flies are in there. What can we do? Should we get cracking?
Oh, yeah.
Welcome
No.
to episode 79. Yes, we're back. And we have
wasn't
wind.
expecting
Oh no,
that.
sounds wrong.
We have wind.
Well, it's windy, isn't it? So the doors are rattling.
It's a bit breezy, but we've got the window open because it's been really warm again and it's cooler today.
Muggy.
But when it's been warm for a long little while, you still feel warm, don't you? Even when it cools down a little bit.
We've successfully established we've had the combination of heat without humidity and heat with humidity over the last couple of weeks. And we can tell you, newsflash, heat without humidity, we can deal with it.
We can deal with it. It was about, when we say heat, we mean...
No, you don't need to go into specifics.
It's hot
The
for
bottom
us.
line is anyone in this country would say it's hot.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was hot one day, but it wasn't very humid, and we were okay, weren't we?
This is all right. It's like I'm on holiday
But
in
then
Spain.
the next day, yesterday, it felt much more humid, didn't it?
It did.
Which is funny because then storms raged through. There was
Flash
flash
floods,
flooding in
terrible,
Cornwall and everything. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We've not had any of the storms yet, have we?
There was that
But-
little warning thing up in the corner of
I know.
my
I think it's
app.
going to rain later. So.
Although, as we've successfully established on historic episodes of the Baker Best podcast, looking at the BBC weather app doesn't normally achieve
No,
much.
It's kind of a waste of time, really.
Although, let's see today if it starts to rain at midday.
Let's see, because I would rather it didn't.
Now, you, if you have been watching a long time, I'm sure, and if you haven't, then, this is all news to you.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. But you may think that you know Kay, and you do in so many ways. But there's one moment in life when she becomes an absolute raging tiger of competitiveness, and that is any game which involves me.
That's not true.
It is true. I managed to get our Wii going, our Nintendo Wii going.
Yeah, I've not played on it in ages.
No, since my 40th birthday party.
Yeah, Bryony wanted to play, didn't
Yeah.
she? And she's like, oh, I know, can we do bowling? And like, Bryony's like, oh, well, mummy play. I'm like, oh, do I have to play?
You should have seen her. Oh my goodness.
You two normally play things on there, and I just sit and knit, and it's lovely. And they're like, well, you play, mummy. Oh.
You should have seen her. And it set me thinking about whenever we play Scrabble.
I think I won.
You did win. I think I won, she says. You know full well that you won.
I think I was rather good at the bowling.
Look, see, it's hilarious. And do you know what? It's one of the things. This arose very early in me knowing you. It quickly became apparent that you were extremely competitive when it came to things with me. And do you know what?
Can't have you winning.
Well, I like that. Do you know what? I really like that because...
I think it's because you're very competitive.
Oh, get on.
You are. You are. You never let Bryony win.
That's not true.
That is totally true. They're playing some racing game, and like he always wins, and Bryony's like, oh, Daddy, I was so close to winning, and he just like won't let her win. And
really funny.
I'll whisper to him, for heaven's sake, just let her win.
We were playing this game, and she overtook me right at the last minute, and she's about to cross the line, and she says, oh, I hope that nobody... And I had this rocket, and I shot this rocket out, and she like blew up, and I crossed the line, victorious.
It's not funny, is it?
No, I wasn't laughing.
It's terrible.
I didn't laugh. It's not terrible. And do you know the reason why it's not terrible? Because she sits there and she quite regularly wins, but what she says to me is, do not try, Dad.
Oh, right.
She knows when I'm not trying. And so I think we have successfully bred someone who is competitive in the right way.
No, it is good, yeah. I mean, competition in life is always good, isn't it? Because,
she wants to battle you on an even playing field, and that way then when she wins, the winning's all the sweeter.
Yeah, and it prepares you for life, doesn't it? Because
Absolutely.
there's so much, in every aspect of your life, there'll always be competition, won't there, from other people, other organisations, everything.
You may notice something. Yes?
It's grown a little bit, thank goodness.
Yes, I have had a haircut. And for the first time in my life, in fact, no, it's the second time I've
He
had
looked like he was joining the army when he came out of the hairdressers. I was mortified.
It was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster.
She did number 1 all the way around.
She admitted when we arrived that she was ill. And, she said, is the usual? Yeah. And I normally have one just around the bottom into 2, and then she just I sat there and I'm like, oh my goodness, seriously, I was like, oh my goodness, what have you just done? All this hair, because as well, I'd left it quite late, it had got quite long, and I was like, oh my goodness. But actually,
I wasn't happy.
Actually, I think perhaps that there was a subconscious reason behind this.
Why?
Well,
she didn't like cutting your hair, so she did it short.
No. She sensed that I wanted to look like a squaddy.
Well, you did look like a squaddy.
And the reason being is, Kay had a message on Instagram from some handsome squaddy.
In America. Just sent me this random message on Instagram and it said, what did it say? I showed you straight away.
Yeah, that person got blocked.
How are you doing, beautiful, or something or other along those lines? I was like, oh my gosh. And then you looked at it, and then we found a picture of him, and he was like in, army.
And I'm thinking, it's going to be some.
And I was like,
it's going to be some freak. Oh
army
no,
fella.
it wasn't. It was some.
He looked quite normal, but obviously we still blocked him.
Thank you all so much for the wonderful feedback on the search for St Godric. It's been just amazing. Thank you so much. We had one lovely lady went onto the YouTube video and she commented. If you go onto episode 78 and look at the comments, you'll see what she did. She took our scoring. And she scored the podcast episode, which was just so sweet and so lovely. But, we
had so many comments.
We did have so many comments.
Positive comments I think we've had on an episode for a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable. And, I'm so glad. We always said that New Adventures of the Bakery Bears, we were, going in a specific direction. And it's taken a couple of episodes to get going, but now we're properly into it. What that does, though, is, and I've been feeling it this week, is that creates then a huge amount of pressure.
You put pressure on yourself, and I've said this.
I'm sure you all know, but we spend a huge amount of time constantly assessing what we're doing and trying to make it better. Or uphold it. And, I can promise you that we're doing our absolute utmost to make sure that the next New Adventure episode, which is episode 80, and you don't want to miss it, because it's very special.
It's very special.
Very special indeed. The next New Adventure will be just as good, if not maybe even a smidgen better.
It will be definitely as good.
Yes, absolutely. And the gold edition of the Search for St Godric is now available for gold podcast patrons and above. Biscuit Banter is back.
Yes.
It's very exciting. Also as well, Desert Island Discs is back, and we're on to the 1990s. Now, when we say the 1990s, we don't mean music from the 1990s. We mean what were we listening to in the 1990s.
Yeah.
But before all that, it's time for us to find out...
Dan Jones, what's on your new list?
Not bad. That was a good go. Look, it's my second mouchoir sock. I do feel like I need to get my finger out. Well, I have been. That's nice, isn't it?
I can't believe that's not done yet.
Oh, stop it now. I've really been knitting hard on this. Been knitting hard on this, and I've been knitting hard on the other sock as well.
You know I'm only teasing you.
Yes, I do now.
I'm always buying you nice needles. I bought you some more needles yesterday.
Yes. More on that, on the project, which they are having a very wonderful effect on. But I think more and more my usage of wood, even on on cabled needles.
Circular needles.
Yes,
you
I
mean.
messed it up.
Very confusing.
I think I'm moving more and more over slowly to metal, and it is just down to my tension. It's as simple as that. You know,
Yeah.
I gave Kay back a circular, and she was like, "What have you done to this needle?" And I know we've spoken about this before, but before it was a bamboo needle that I'd done this to. Well, now I've done this to a hat needle.
It was a Knit Pro Symphony, and it had ridges all the way down the wood, you know, because the yarn's been biting into the wood because it's... What did I do for you the other day? I sorted out a stitch, didn't I? And I had to like knit 2 more stitches. It was the end of that hat, and that was on wood. I couldn't even get...
Yeah, but I'd had a disaster with that because I'll talk about it later, but I'd put it onto one needle, then I'd put it onto another set of needles, so it slipped a couple of times. And every time I'd moved it on, it just seemed to have got tighter. But anyway. So, yes, mouchoir sock. My mission is to have this finished for the next Dan and Lara project, which I think is next week. So, you know, that's an achievable target. But there is a brand new issue of Knitability out today. And I've written an article all about my socks. There's so many positives to pull, and it all depends on how you look at anything, doesn't it? You could go glasses half empty, I've got to get that finished, I'll part way through knitting the other and I really should have finished that. Or I could go glasses half full. One of my missions was to get good with DPNs, and I feel great with DPNs. You know, before I started this, I'd never knit anything other than the end of hats with DPNs, and now I feel really great about DPNs.
And you said the other day...
I won't go back.
He went, "I'm never knitting magic loop again."
I love it.
You heard it here.
I love it. Seriously. And also, my mission was to start working with thinner yarn, and I now feel like after moving to sport weight,
Yes.
I now feel ready. I've got one more skein ready to go for my next pair, but then after that I think I'm ready to maybe drop down
Oh right, okay.
Another,
Well, maybe
because
the
I
thing
haven't
to
complained
do,
about this, have I?
I mean, maybe the thing to do is to use a nice sort of heavy fingering weight.
Yeah.
And I've got a base that's a heavy, sort of more of a heavy fingering, and I think, you know, then you don't really need to go any thinner than that, because some fingering weights are very fine, aren't they?
Do you prefer a heavy fingering weight, or do you prefer a light fingering weight?
No, I prefer a nice plump fingering weight, if I'm honest. I don't like the really skinny fingering weight yarns.
Right.
And there are a number of them out there.
Right. Do you think that when it's a plumper fingering weight that it gives you a better fabric?
Yes.
Because my fear always with thinner fingering is that you're going to end up with quite a loose...
Well, you've got to go down with your needle sizes.
Right.
That's the thing. If your fingering weight is very fine, then you've got to knit on like maybe a 2mm, or some people work even smaller than that. And I wouldn't go lower than a 2.25, I don't think. I'd probably try a 2mm. I haven't yet, actually. You know, you all find your kind of comfort zone, don't you, with needle sizes with regards to sock knitting. And generally, I think, most of us, I would say, knit on 2.25mm or 2.5mm. I don't think, you know, regularly.
Well, I need to go down a needle size.
Well, you could get away with 2.75mm because you're such a tight knitter. Because Darren knits with 2.75s.
Right.
Because he's such a tight knitter. I'm sure he does.
So
it's
when
one down from this.
Right. When I change then to plump fingering weight,
Yeah.
I'll need to change needles too.
Yeah, but I've got some Chow Goose for you.
Thank goodness. Were those already in stash or?
Yes, no, I've got them.
Oh, thank goodness. That's enough of my socks.
Don't need to buy
I think we
anymore.
should look at some of your socks. Kay Jones, what's
Yes.
on your needles?
I've got 2 pairs of new socks to show you. The first pair, this is a very special pair of socks. A few days ago, one of my friends on Instagram, Sherlock Knits, she posted, if you follow her you will have seen this post, she posted that she was attempting to knit, I think it's 31 or 32 pairs of socks for the patients in the Marie Curie hospital where she works. And I was just so incredibly touched by this. And she's using specific yarn. I should talk about that first, really. The yarn that she's using is a special yarn from West Yorkshire Spinners that was dyed up in the colours of Marie Curie. Marie Curie is an organisation in this country that cares and supports people with terminal illnesses. A lot of times that's cancer, isn't it? And their symbol is a daffodil, and the writing to associate with it is blue. So West Yorkshire Spinners came up with a colourway, and this is the ball band. It's got the Marie Curie symbol on it, and the colourway is the colour of the logo, the Marie Curie logo. And I think you can only buy this. I'm not entirely certain, but the skein I got, which was a gift to me, it was purchased at Cityknits, cityknits.co.uk, and I'm not sure if it's kind of exclusive to this shop, but certainly it's still on their website. I've just had a look this morning, so you can purchase it from cityknits.co.uk. Every purchase, £2 of the cost goes directly to Marie Curie. So it's a brilliant cause. And what Sarah wanted to do was to knit, 30 odd pairs of socks for the patients there in the yarn that's the Marie Curie colourway. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. So straight away I texted her and I said, can I knit a pair? Because I'd got some of this yarn. I said, I'd love to knit a pair for you. And she's like, yeah, of course you can, that'd be fantastic. So I cast them on that night. And this is where I've only just really cast it on, but this is where I'm up to. It knits up really nice, look. You get these kind of Fair Isle stripes in the yellow and the blue. And I'm just doing 64 stitches. She said it didn't really matter whether, it's a man or a woman's type size sock, so I thought I'll just do 64 on 2.25. And I'm using my Chow Goose mini twists, so it's lovely. And I actually went and purchased, I was just going to knit the whole sock in that yarn, and then Sarah when she cast it on, she used contrast blue for the cuff, and I thought that was really lovely. So I went and had a look, and I think it's this blue. It's West Yorkshire Spinners again, and it's from their solids, and it's Blueberry Bonbon, I think is the colourway. So if you look at it next to the sock, you can see it's the same blue. So I'm going to do the heels in that blue. And I always like having solids in my stash as well for heels and toes. And then, of course, when she posted this, a few other people said, I've got some, I'd love to knit some as well for you, if that's okay. So if you follow Sarah and you've seen the post, and maybe if it's something you'd like to do, because I'm sure me talking about it now, people are thinking, I've got a ball of that yarn, I'd love to do that. I would say just contact Sarah on Instagram, she's Sherlock Knits, and just let her know, and she'll be able to organise you doing that and getting the pair of socks to her. So yeah, that's my lovely sock, and this is kind of my bedtime knitting now, and it's nice yarn to knit with actually. I've not knit with, no, I haven't knit with West Yorkshire Spinners like this pre-dyed, but your Valum Hadriani socks is on this base, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
And they're your favourite socks. And this is I think this is a slightly finer, what I was just saying?
Yeah.
I think it's slightly finer because I do yours in 2.5 mil, and that's why it wore through, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not as dense, the fabric.
No.
But this is 2.25, so,
right.
It should be absolutely fine.
I'm really annoyed because I was hoping to have another of the sections finished. The scarf, it's the Queen Mary scarf, it's piano number 1. Here it is. And it goes in sections, so you knit 5 repeats of the sections, and they all join together. And I'm about to finish, I'm like 4 rows away from finishing section 2, and then I've got another 3 sections to go after that as well. So I've not shown this for a couple of episodes, and I thought, perfect time, I'll get that finished, and then away we go. And I've really tried, the last couple of nights, I've really, really tried to get to the end, but as I say, I'm just literally, I just get to the end of this bit, and then that's it, then you're into the next repeat again. So I get to reset my, what row am I up to? I'm up to row 80, and I think I've got to go to 84. So get to 84 and then reset back to 0 again, and that always feels good, doesn't it? Well, I don't know, it depends if you've knit a project like this before, or a project where you've got lots to go, and then when it's a long repeat, I've never knit one with such a long repeat before, and it, you feel like, yes, that's a hurdle. Effectively, there's 5 hurdles in this, and each
It's
one
like
of those.
a little finished object, finishing and repeat, I always think.
Absolutely, yes, definitely, and I think that's why I was thinking, I'm excited to sort of get this in and done, and it's definitely a medium which needs constant attention, double knitting, because if you don't, you start to forget little techniques, because there is a lot of things which are different and you have to do in a slightly different way. It's not difficult, honestly, it's not difficult at all. It's like making a snowman. You've got to keep rolling that ball, otherwise it won't get any bigger, and in fact it'll start to melt a bit if you don't just do a little bit every so often. Slip stitch edging, you may well remember, and for those of you who saw my double knitting diary, which I did.
It's very neat.
Well, that's my gauge, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's my gauge, which Nathan, who obviously taught me how to double knit, sockmatician,
It's very neat, Nathan.
he said, what did he say? That
I think it's something to
terminology
do
used,
with
but it was funny.
the tension on your knits and the tension on your pearls, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he said that yours must be the same on the knits and the pearls, which is a difficult thing to achieve, I think. Is that right, Nathan?
Something like
no
that.
idea.
Because I don't get rowing out,
No.
which a lot of people would get. You'll see lumps in your work, because the tension on the pearl side is not the same as the tension on the knit side. Well, I pull it just as hard whether it's a knit or a pearl, so the tension's always the same. Look, I knit the way I knit, and
It's true.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And I've been knitting now a little while, and I've not got any injuries. There's
No.
So if it works for
And
me,
it's beautifully neat. All you've got to do really is make sure that your needle size is right for your gauge, really, haven't you? So we always give you a needle size bigger.
and it's just I said to Kay the other day that I just do this all the time. I could just sit and do this all the time, and that then is when it really does ram home the fact that knitting for me is all about the mental side of it.
Yeah.
The edging's cool, though, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
I did find that hard to master.
Yeah, I mean, it's really neat.
You can watch my journey actually in
Hold it
detail
like
on the double knitting
Nathan,
diary.
look.
What else
Cool.
is on your needles?
Well, I've got a fabulous pair of socks.
Where?
On the go. I'm so excited about this pair of socks. I'm going to show you my bag first, though. I made myself a bag. Gosh, I haven't done any sewing in a long time, as you know. I'm not sewing, and I'm not sewing still, but I did do a little bit of sewing as a tutorial for the patrons.
Which starts next week
Right.
and runs all the way through the summer.
Ah.
We did a bag tutorial for you earlier this year, and you went crazy for it. So we have followed it up.
We did a zipper bag tutorial, and we got all of the patrons
Feels like yours too.
making their own. You've given it away.
Oh, sorry.
The size I
Ooh.
made was a little sock bag.
I like this.
Yeah, but then I thought, do you know you will know.
Did you make this?
Yes. Do you know stop it.
I'm feeling it.
Do you know the field bags? I can't think of the name.
I don't.
The name of
But
the
you told me
company
about
now.
them.
Fringe. The Fringe Supply Company field bags. You all know them. You can only purchase them from the States. And they're very popular at the moment. They're made out of a heavy canvas, so it's even heavier than this. And they've got like this leather strap, and it's a drawstring.
I'm just looking.
And the size appealed to me more than the actual bag. I'm not mad on the canvas, if I'm honest. It's a bit too heavy for me, and I know that people who have got them say that it softens up over time and everything. I thought, well, hang on, why don't I just make my own? It was this, like I said, it was the size. I didn't really want the leather strap, because I just thought I wouldn't ever really use that, I don't think. So what I did was I went and looked around, and I bought some heavier weight cotton. The fabric I found, it's by Clark & Clark, which I believe is a UK company. And it's fabric that you would normally use maybe to make curtains. So it's not a really, really heavy upholstery fabric. It's a cotton, it's 100% cotton, but it's just a heavyweight cotton. And I found I found this pink print, I'll show you, isn't it pretty? And then the lining is just like a really pretty pale blue, kind of looks like linen. And I made myself the bag. And what I did was, if you look on the field bag website, it tells you the size of the finished bag. So I just looked at the size, and then I asked Sasha, because I couldn't work out the maths. And I said, what size should I cut my fabric to get this sort of size? So she told me. And I just made my own, and I didn't make it exactly the same way because I did like an extra piece for the drawstring here. I think the fringe bag is kind of folded over, but I just did it the way that I like to make drawstrings. And it worked really well, and it's a fabulous size. It's huge, actually. I mean, it's huge. I didn't line it or anything. I didn't want it lined. I wanted it nice and kind of floppy, and I made it really because I wanted a little bit more robust of a bag for when we go away, because we'll probably be like on the beach and things like that. So in this lovely bag, oh, did you see look at my biscuit brooches? Aren't they adorable? These were a gift. And there was a custard cream as well, which Bryony stole, and she's got on one of her bags. But I love these. So this is the perfect kind of bag to put things like that on, because it's this heavier weight. So in this lovely bag, I've got a pair of socks that were inspired by Susan Claudino. I saw on her Instagram feed recently, she was knitting this pair of socks, and I was like, oh, I just love that. And they were Jaws inspired. She loves Jaws as much as we love Jaws.
Yes.
And she'd got some yarn from Desert Vista Dye Works that was kind of striped in the sort of Jaws colours, and then she put in a red heel for the blood. I thought it was brilliant, and I was like, I've got to do this. So I went to my stash, and I actually had all this yarn in stash. I was so excited, and I could start it straight away. So what I'm doing, it's not striped, but what I'm doing is I've got a grey for the shark fin, which is going to be the cuff and the toe. So it's like the kind of mouth of the shark at the toe, and the fin is the cuff. And then I've got a colour for the main body, which is the water. And then I've done a red heel, which is the blood in the water. You're all going to need to sit down when I tell you this, because you won't believe it, but I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel, everybody. And I did it because two reasons. One is that I've been wanting to try it for ages. And then the other was, this is a shark sock. It's a fish sock, isn't it? And it's the Fish Lips Kiss. It just seemed perfect to give it a go. So I did it, and I should have brought my blocker, but look, so this is the sock so far. Ha ha! Can you see the shark fin? Look. Look, if I do this, look. It works. And I knit a longer cuff because I wanted it to be, longer for the shark fin, because it's a big, tall thing, isn't it? So that's the fin. And then look at this beautiful tonal blue for the water. Oh, I'll tell you what the yarns are in a second. And then bright red. Oh, for heaven's sake. Bright red for the Fish Lips Kiss. So, I will tell you what the yarns are. Finn, take it off your head.
It didn't fit.
Well, no, it's no wonder. Everything's come out of my bag now.
I took it out. It was all right. I just took it.
Do you know? So the grey is this. It's coming up more of a brown on the screen. I suppose it's more, in reality, it is more of a grey, but I think there is some brown in there. This is 5 Moons. I've had this for ages because I knit a sample of this, a little mini of this, into my blanket ages ago, and I loved the base. So I went out and bought a skein, and of course then I never cast it on like we do. But it's their Sinful sock, and it's 20% kid mohair, 55 superwash merino, and 25% nylon. So the nylon, along with that mohair, brilliant for socks, because mohair is nature's nylon, as they say. And you get 400 metres, and this colourway is called Vermin Light. I have no idea what that reference means, but that's the tag. And it's lovely yarn. I really, really am enjoying knitting with it. You can see the fuzz of the mohair probably. It's so nice. And then the blue it's a Xena yarn. It's Little Yellow Uke, and I've had this since when she did a first update. I bought some yarn, and this was one of the skeins, and it's a 75-25 merino nylon, 425 metres, and the colourways don't break. It's a Dirty Dancing reference, when they're in the water doing the practicing. But it's just this beautiful tonal kind of turquoise and teal and white, but absolutely perfect for the water. The red is just some Drops Fable. And what's the colourway number? 106. So just some Drops Fable, you know, cheap as chips that I had in my stash. I did actually knit a whole heel, a heel flap and everything in a different red. And for some reason, it came out so tiny, didn't it? The actual length of the heel was miniature, and I'd knit the right number of rows. So that kind of was telling me that maybe, you know, I should be knitting a Fish Lips Kiss because I was thinking about it. So I ripped all that out and I've just used the Drops Fable. Drops Fable is absolutely fine, but working the Fish Lips Kiss heel, you know, those particular stitches that you do, I did find it incredibly splitty. Not even splitty, do you know, it's quite hairy, isn't it? And I kept catching...
They're my favourites, aren't they?
Well, I just kept catching little strands.
I bet that'd get hairier if I knit with it.
Oh, probably. When I was working those twin stitches, and it was driving me doolally. So, but, you know, it came out absolutely fine. And I did it. And thank you to Sarah Hepworth for helping me with the Fish Lips Kiss, because I asked her about a million questions. I was like, oh, I'm really sorry, but, you know, is this right and is this right? I'm knitting it on higher hires, 2.25, which are lovely. I did used to think they were a bit too slick higher hires, but they seem to be absolutely fine for this.
Are they sharp?
Yes. Higher sharps are very sharp. I think higher hires sharps are the sharpest needles.
I couldn't knit with those.
No, they're very sharp. I think if you're the type of knitter that uses the end of your finger to push, and I do that a little bit,
Like
then
me?
Yeah, then you might find these too sharp.
So if you're a really tight knitter, they're not going to be any good for you?
Well, no, if you're a tight knitter, they're quite good because they're slick. They're very slick.
Right, okay.
They're slicker than a Chow Goose.
I'd need to try.
But it's just the tips you might find a bit too pointy.
If they're slippy enough not to need to push.
Yeah,
then...
well, I find that I don't.
And to be honest, I don't think I need to push very much on metal.
Yeah, so you might find they were okay. But the cable's very nice on this, very smooth join, and, you know, it's just been lovely. So Susan, thank you for the inspiration. So, yeah, now the jury's out on the Fish Lips Kiss until I see how it fits. That's my main bother. And that's always been my main bother, that I just don't know how well it's going to fit. Because I do have a really high arch. But if these don't fit me particularly well, I'm sure they'll be fine for Bryony, because her foot is more slender and her arch is not as high. It looks weird, doesn't it? And that's the other thing. It looks a bit weird, everybody. You know, I mean, it just looks a bit weird. I'm so used to a heel flap and gusset. We'll just see. But I'm really glad I've tried it. I enjoyed knitting it. I did enjoy knitting it. It was something different, and, you know, I didn't make any mistakes. I got it first time. I'll let you know, obviously, when the pair's finished and they've been worn and how that goes. But, you know, knit yourself some Jaws socks, everybody. It's so fun. And when I cast them on, we watched Jaws 2, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Quite like Jaws 2 as well. I think it's a decent sequel, really.
I think that sums it up pretty well.
Yeah.
Decent.
Decent.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Jaws, obviously.
Have you finished?
Yes.
Excellent. Have I finished?
What do you mean?
How much longer does this leg need to be?
I mean, it'll be fine. I don't like a particularly long cuff. If you've had enough, then...
Is that for you or for Bryony?
Oh, it's for Bryony, isn't it, I think?
So I should start the flap?
Well, you can do, yeah.
You sure?
Well, yeah, that'll be fine. It's about... I normally only knit the cuff and the leg socks for sort of me and Bryony 5 inches, 4 or 5 inches. I don't like long socks at all.
I forgot what it was. It's the check. I'm still having to check. Oh, that will be the way I shall remember. I'm having to check them over my socks. It's the checked and square socks. Ha ha! And you can see why it's called that. It's very good. I do like the texture of this sock. I do like the texture of this sock a lot. I was sceptical about this sock because of the stitch pattern seemed a little bit samey, but actually you can read your knitting really easily, and, you know, as you can see, it looks really nice. So, you know, I'm enjoying it, actually. I'm enjoying it a whole lot more than what I expected. The colourway I really love, actually. I think Bryony will really enjoy wearing
it's
these.
Definitely one of a kind. Oak.
Yeah, with Sarah
Yorkshire.
from round Yorkshire way. So yes, Check the Square sock, another one of my Dan Lara project socks. I'll be telling all about it on the next Dan Lara project. What else is on your needles?
Well, this is kind of epic.
Yes, last week we unveiled Longbourn, and you, of course, have been working on two designs.
Yes.
And the Longbourn was the first.
So
two.
the Longbourn, as you all know, will be coming out on the 4th of August. The pattern's all written up and ready. We just need to take photographs, which we're doing next week, and then it'll be out on the 4th of August. I am hoping, I'm dyeing up some more kits. I did some kits last week for the shawl, and they literally sold in under a minute.
We both didn't think that they would go fast at all.
I did a good number, you know. I'm not prolific with the dyeing. I do as much as I possibly can. And I couldn't believe they'd gone, because I did the update, then you came straight downstairs and said, have you not done the update? There's nothing in the shop. And I said, I've just done it. And they'd all gone in less than a minute. I know a lot of people messaged me to say they got carjacked and, you know, they were quite upset about it. I'm so sorry, and I apologise to everybody. There's just nothing that I can do about it. It's just how Etsy works. I've been carjacked dozens of times. Don't like it. I wish it wasn't like that with Etsy, but that's as it is.
We are slowly but surely working on developing a website.
Yeah.
So, you know, at some point in future we may be able to do something about it. It is part of our next milestone.
Yeah,
so, you know, as soon as we hit that milestone on our Patreon campaign, then, you know, we'll really move.
I would obviously build in that it stays in your basket, you know, for 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, but right now, that's how it's got to be.
That's just how it is. So I'm so sorry if you didn't manage to get one. But in light of that, and, you know, lots of people messaged me and said, will you be doing any more? And I wasn't planning on doing any more because I just didn't really have the time. However, I found some time, I've made some time. And I'm going to be dyeing up some more kits this week. And they'll be going into the shop on this Saturday. So if you're watching the podcast straight away, they'll be in the shop this Saturday. So like Dan said, I've been working on 2 designs. The other design I've been actually working on since January. I've been knitting on it since January. On and off. You know, I've set it aside at times to work on other things, but it's now nearing completion.
And actually, what's been interesting is Kay came up with the idea, and that's actually where we got the idea to do the Longbourn videos, which we've been putting out behind the scenes. Kay has been filming a video diary of the development of this, because we knew it was going to be a long-term one. So when it gets close to launch, which Kay will tell you about in a minute, just like we've done with the Longbourn, we'll put out some behind the scenes, won't we? Because it was a brilliant thought of yours to do that.
Yeah, so I've recorded about 3 videos, I think, already, haven't I?
Which is really good, because
you know, right at the start when I first had the idea and showed you all my swatches and all of that kind of stuff, through to different stages.
So whilst what you're about to see is quite big,
yes,
we have got some content where you can see it where it's quite little.
So yes, it is a big project, and there's only really 3 or 4 people that know about this, and it's that big that it won't fit in any of my project bags. It's in like a big basket now, and it's a blanket. It's not finished yet, so it's still attached to the yarn. So my inspiration for this blanket was, I spoke in the past about the comparison of brioche stitch to fisherman's rib and how I thought they were very, very similar. I just didn't particularly like knitting brioche, so I thought, well, why couldn't I knit fisherman's rib? So I had to think about it, and I knit about 20 swatches of this design, you know, what I had sort of planned, just playing with colours and deciding what I was going to do, and I decided I thought it would work. So I cast this on back in January, towards the end of January, and I've been knitting on it ever since, and I'm not far off finishing now. I think I've got about 5 or 6 inches to go. So it's a lot. The size of my blanket is about 4 feet across, and it will be about 4 feet high. So a nice square sized blanket. It's completely adjustable though. I'm going to have to stand up to show you because it's big, everybody, and I don't want my stitches to fall off. So it's going to drop to the floor. let me spread out the middle section. Here we go, there we are. Can you see it? And so this is the top where I am now, and it goes all the way down, all the way down, all the way down to here. So can you see how it looks very much like brioche? But it isn't brioche. You know, it's not knit in the same way that brioche is knit. So what I've done, so you hold 2 strands of fingering weight together, and you've got a background colour, and then you've got a foreground colour. The foreground colour is basically leftovers. It's scraps, you know, so it's mini skeins, it's leftovers from socks. So we all love, you know, your leftovers and mini skeins and all of this, and I wanted to do something different to a mitered square blanket because I love them, as you know, I love them, and I've got one on the go to show you. But the thing is with that, you knit your square and then you've still got some yarn left over, and I ended up having mini skeins, you know, all these little bits and pieces. So I wanted something where you could use the entire amount of what you've got left over, and with this you can. You work through that particular mini, and then you add in another, work through that, add in another, and you know, away you go. It uses a lot of yarn, which again I think is brilliant. It produces this hugely squishy fabric. It's just fantastic. And you can see how much I've knit. I've knit 3.5 feet of this, and I'm still not bored. I absolutely love this, and the few people who know about this, when I've not been able to knit on it, it's all I would knit on. As Dan was saying with that other project of his, the double knitting, I would just knit on this forever, and you will never get bored because it's fabulous, and it's such a. I don't like using this word particularly, but I think it's overused, but it's such a zen knit. It is such a zen knit. And when I'm knitting it, I'm just completely zoned out, you know, I'm so relaxed. But it's such a lovely thing to knit. And, playing with all the colours, and you can see how much I love this. So it's almost not far off done. Almost not far off done. That's brilliant English, isn't it? I've got, like I say, about 5 inches left to go, and then I'm going to border it. There will be a border, so I won't go into detail, but there will be a border on it as well. And then what I'm hoping to do is finish it before we go on holiday. When we get back from holiday, I'm going to write up the pattern, and then probably towards the end of August, I'll be asking our...
Yes, very exciting. Through the course of this year, we've been assessing all our Patreon levels of our Patreon campaign, and we've been doing things to offer more and give you more. Launched Knitability and launched special editions of the new adventures and other things as well. And what we've now got to our platinum patrons, what you're going to do and what we're going to do on all K's new designs from now on is the platinum patrons of the Bakery Rose podcast will be the test knitting crew.
Well, that's the first people I will go to ask if they would like to test knit it. Now, I'm not asking you to knit a whole massive blanket, obviously. What I will do is I will give you a suggested stitch count that will just produce a little swatch. So if, for example, you wanted, you've got a child or a grandchild that has teddies or dolls, it'd be kind of the perfect size for a doll or teddy blanket. And then if you wanted to go ahead and knit a huge one after that, of course, you could do. So I will be asking...
Our platinum patrons will be putting out... we'll probably do a special little video, actually.
Probably, yeah.
And that will be about when?
Towards the end of August.
So towards the end of August, we'll do a special little video. We'll share it with you in the usual way.
Yeah.
And then if you want to get involved...
then, you can contact me.
And it'll be a case of first come, first served.
Yeah, which is how I always work with test knitters. And then I'm hoping the pattern, because I'm only asking people to knit kind of a swatch effectively, because it multiplies out, obviously the size is easily adjustable. Then I'm hoping to get the pattern out by the kind of autumn equinox. I just think that might be nice because it's a blanket and our thoughts all turn to sort of cosy knits, don't they, towards the autumn.
Have you spoken about your inspiration for the blanket?
No, well, the reason really I wanted to use Fisherman's Rib was that my mum, I've mentioned this before, but my mum always I remember she used to knit my dad. My dad was a huge fisherman. He loved going fishing. She knit him a few jumpers that were fisherman's rib, and obviously that's where the name came from, because it's such a thick fabric. It was used to knit jumpers for people who are on the side of riverbanks, you know, for hours on end fishing.
Well, probably as well, even out on trawlers.
Well, probably, yeah. And I'd always had that in the back of my mind, that I always remembered knitting these jumpers. You know, as a lot of you know, I lost my dad a year ago, and it kind of just, you know, it reminds me of Mum knitting Dad jumpers in this particular stitch, and just that feeling, really. It was just really nice to do something that reminded me of that. It's just been fabulous, and I can definitely see myself casting on another one. And in fact, in the pattern there'll be a stitch count size if you wanted to knit a wrap version. I've just done a little sample of that just to get the size right. So that'll be in there, the pattern, as well as an option, because I think that would work brilliantly well for a wrap or a stole. So when I was thinking about what to call this, I was watching a programme with Bryony, and this actually ties in completely. I was watching Old Jack's Boat with Bryony, which is a CBeebies programme. She still watches CBeebies, which I think is brilliant. It's got Bernard Cribbins. We spoke about this programme before, and it's about Old Jack, and he lives on a boat, and it's set on the seashore and everything, so it's perfect, really. And he was telling this story, and he was talking away, and I was knitting on this at the time. And he said something, and then he went, oh, you know, we collected bits and bobs of things. And suddenly I looked up at Bryony, I went, Bryony, I said, this blanket is bits and bobs, isn't it? It's bits and bobs of yarn that you've gathered together and that you're knitting into this beautiful blanket. So that's what it's going to be called, the Bits and Bobs blanket. You know, gather your bits and bobs, people. I just loved saying that as well. It just... So I said to Bryony straight away, I just went, Bryony, gather your bits and bobs. And she's like, what are you talking about, Mum? What? So I hope you like it. It's a scary thing, putting new designs out there. It really is, honestly. If you've never done it, it can be a bit mortifying, because you never know really what the reaction's going to be. So hopefully you like it and you will enjoy knitting it. And if you enjoy it as much as me, then you will adore it.
Look at this, it's a brand new cast on. And I've never been so excited about a project as I am about this one.
Oh my gosh, really?
When you talk about interesting stitch counts, I jest you not. All I'm doing is the setup row for this cowl. It's a cowl, and it's just brilliant. I don't like doing rib, but I love ribs on things like the speargrass, which I'll be showing you later, which I finished. And this, it reminds me of that sort of rhythmic motion that you've got going on when you're doing the rib on the speargrass. And it's interesting because, of course, you're setting yourself up there to do the lace, and on here you're setting yourself up to do the cables.
Yes.
It came about, this pattern, this project, should I say, it came about because I'd finished doing the speargrass, and as I make my sweeping statements, and I did that earlier this year, I said I was so over hats. And and I am so over hats. I've done them so much.
You knit a lot of hats.
Let's just pause on those, and we'll pick them up again at Christmas, potentially, because they're such great Christmas presents, aren't they? But this also could be a great Christmas present. And so I was talking to Ken, I was trying to think, what should I do? What should I cast on next? And this is actually a test knit.
It is.
Oh my goodness. This was two knitting forces collided on Sunday morning. It was like there was
honestly,
chemistry.
I was still in my pyjamas.
Chemistry in this room. It was you could cut the atmosphere with a knife.
And he comes downstairs and says, "Oh, do you know that design of yours? Could we do this and could we do that?" And I'm like, "What?"
And she stood there in her pyjamas, sketching out a pattern. And then she's like, "Oh no, that's a bit wrong." And it's like, and I've got it here. I can't show you, of course, because if I show you, I'll ruin everything. So it's here, and I'll tell him what it is. It's the Messalina. Kay is going to do later on this year an update to the Messalina pattern.
I am.
And she's going to be tweaking the actual Messalina itself, but also, as part of the pattern, there's going to be a cowl in there. And I'm test knitting the cowl. And I like to think that I was an integral part in the design process.
You were, definitely, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So you can see why I'm excited about this. Because I absolutely love my Messalina. I love it. I feel like Han Solo when I wear that thing. And, you know, I can only wear it in the winter because it's thick.
It's DK
really
weight,
does.
yeah.
It keeps you super warm. I love cowls, as you know. And I just thought if we could combine the two with that amazing cable pattern that you put on, but, you know, keep the feel of, you know, then you could have his and hers, Messalinas. The bloke, or the lady, of course. Because as we've shown, I've been wearing the Messalina shawl since you knit it for me. Yeah. So it could be his and his, or hers and hers.
You could. But
So
this is just a single loop cowl. You wanted to do just a single loop, didn't you?
I prefer single loop cowls.
Yeah, that just sticks over and...
I think as a fella, a single loop it really does work.
Yeah.
What's making this so cool, what's making me so excited about it?
You really wanted to use this, didn't you? And you kept saying to me, will it work? Will it work? Can I use it? And I said, I think it will.
It's some more Susan Claudino handspun.
And I think because...
Oh, it's so lovely. Oh,
I would have said...
Get off.
I would have said it probably wouldn't have worked if it was a barber poled handspun. But this, as you can see, she's kept the colours together. So it will do a kind of gentle, you know, stripe sort of thing. So I think it will work with the pattern.
So I'm so enthused about this. I think, as I've said to you before, I have set the perfect bag for the perfect project. As I've said to you before, I like to have certain things on the go, and the hat project, it's a perfect length. You know, it's easy to knit. You know what you're doing. So you want something, or I want something similar to that, because I've got my challenging with the double knitting. I've got my long-term project with the Irish coffee. I've got the socks, which are, you know, medium to short-term projects for me, running all year. And I just want something, you know, sat in this bag, which is, you know, a real easy, fun knit. And I've nailed it. Perfect yarn, perfect needles. I started this on wood and it was really hurting my fingers.
I had to search high and low to find some Chow Goose because they're hard to get hold of these days in this country because people have stopped stocking them. You know, because of interest rates, etc., exchange rates, sorry. But I found some. So
it's totally rocking. This is, for me, this is when, you know, it all comes together. Perfect yarn.
I think you'll enjoy knitting it because
I know I will.
There's cables and twisted stitches, so it'll keep his interest, definitely.
I'm interested, and I've only done the setup row.
He said to me last night, "Oh, I'm really enjoying this." I said, "How much have you done?" He said, "Oh, I've just done the setup rows." I said, "Well, it's just knits and pearls."
But
I said, "I know, but it's really..."
Okay. But it's the combination of those knits and pearls which makes it interesting. If you just go knit, pearl, or knit, pearl, pearl, that's not interesting. If things are going on, that's when it's interesting. Yes. Do you agree?
Watch this space.
Watch this space. Yeah. You know the ingredients work, and what you're doing is just tweaking and changing. Yeah. It's great.
So I mean, everybody who's bought the Messalina in the past, what happens is when you do an update to a pattern, Ravelry sends that update to all of the people that have previously purchased it. So if you've previously purchased the Messalina, when I do the update, you will get the new one with this pattern in.
This will be the autumn, though.
Oh gosh, yes.
This is actually what we're planning.
This is, you know, I'm talking about so many designs, aren't I, today? Yeah. So this comes after the Longbourn, after the blanket, then there will be this.
So much to be excited about. You've got the Longbourn in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You've got the bits and bobs towards the end of the summer. And you've got the Messalina update coming.
Yeah. More into sort of probably October, November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biscuit banter.
More tea figure.
And I have to say, I'm absolutely dreading this. So what I'm going to do is immerse myself fully in the history of the said biscuit.
Shall I show the biscuit?
Yes.
Are you ready? Ta-da! Fig rolls.
Now, to anyone in America, you won't have a clue what we're talking about.
But they will if we say they're called something different, aren't they?
What are they called?
Right, carry on.
They're called Fig Newtons.
Oh, you knew. you?
They're named after Newton in Massachusetts. It was known as a fig Newton in the US until 2012 when the fig was actually dropped. So now, according
really?
to Wikipedia, they're known as Newtons.
Oh gosh, right.
You can also get lots of different varieties. You can get apple cinnamon, strawberry, raspberry and mixed berry.
Oh, I'm a bit offended by that.
I'm not, because I think I would much rather eat a raspberry, strawberry, mixed berry or an apple cinnamon.
Oh, I wouldn't.
I'd rather have any of those. So please, if you can teleport one over so I can dip that instead of dipping this. Now, the fig roll, this is where I do get interested. So, you know, I'm torn. I'm genuinely torn. I'm not messing you around here.
Here's a fig roll, everybody.
The fig roll dates back to ancient Egypt. It became popular in the West in 1892 thanks to Charles Rosa. Figs were highly traded and fought over during the development of the trade routes during the 15th to 17th centuries. Christopher Columbus devoted a complete page to what a wonderful time it would be when he would be able to gorge himself on figs.
Did he?
Marco Polo described women in association with the beauty of figs.
Good heavens.
It was also during this period that figs reached America, so it's around the time of Marco Polo, when the Spanish reached the island of Hispaniola in 1520. There's so much history, it's untrue. There's so much. I'm full of history, so I'm not going to eat it.
It went back to Egypt.
It did. We started there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally...
We started in ancient Egypt.
I think I was sniffing the fig rolls.
We started in ancient Egypt. So
I was on fig fumes.
In summary, these were eaten in ancient Egypt. I mean, not exactly like this, but
they had a packet of McVitie's.
Basically, what they did was they got a fig paste and they put that into some sort of pastry and they ate it because it was a great way of preserving.
And technically, I don't think it's technically a biscuit, is it? Because it's more of a pastry. But
well, we can tell. Let's leave it out overnight.
We always class them as a biscuit.
That's the trick, isn't it? You leave it out overnight.
Yeah,
and if
because well, it's already soft, isn't it?
You see, I think as a test, we should leave the whole packet out overnight.
Well, I won't be eating them, will I? So it's fine, because I'm not eating... I'm going to try a little bit, but I'm not eating fattening things right now.
I'll be brutally honest, right? I didn't like these before we dipped them in and made them soggy.
I would never ever dream. Dan said to me, we've got to dunk our fig rolls. And I was like, what? You don't dunk fig rolls.
Well, I'm afraid.
So he said, I've got to.
We do. Because that's...
And can I just say, didn't they used to have ridges down here?
Maybe a type of them did, but I bet
What's going on?
Well, it's called saving money, isn't it?
Why are they now plain?
Because it's easier to produce these.
I don't like change.
No, we know that.
I want the lines back.
So, I mean, to start with, we can try it just normal.
It's lovely. I know what one tastes like. Mmm. Oh, I love them.
You see, to me, it tastes a bit stale.
It does not.
It just does to me.
It tastes like a fig roll. It's delicious.
Should I tell you the other tang that I get? Feet.
Oh, stop it.
Stale feet.
It does not taste like feet. The cheese you eat smells like feet.
Oh, that's right. These aren't for me. My gran used to love these.
I know. Well, I've eaten these since I was little.
It sort of sticks to the roof of your mouth.
Oh,
the
lovely.
fig paste. So the prospect of making this damp is we might as well just give it a go. I'm going to tap off any excess so as not to...
Have you not got tea?
No, I'm using yours. What?
You're using my tea to dunk your biscuit?
Why is that a problem?
Why didn't you make your own tea?
Because I didn't. I'm sorry. Why is that a problem?
Well, it just is. It's my tea.
Clearly, there's dunking etiquette. You don't dunk in someone else's tea.
You certainly don't. Go on, then.
Well, then let's both go at the same time. I think it needs a quick dunk.
I've no idea because I would never...
In and out. Yeah.
See, I think a little bit longer. It's all right.
Oh,
lovely.
man.
Mmm, yummy.
Oh, I've not tasted that taste for about 25 years.
Mmm. Oh, they're delicious.
That is the ultimate soggy biscuit. Oh, no.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a good biscuit to dunk necessarily, but it still tastes yummy.
We can score this, Kay.
Yes.
Take it away.
What am I scoring it for? It just being a biscuit, or?
Well, let's score it as a biscuit.
Oh, yummy. 9.
Okay, and then also score it as a dunker.
Well, it's not a dunking.
And be honest.
Well, it's not a dunking biscuit, I wouldn't say. So I would say I'd probably only maybe give it a 4 as a dunking biscuit because it's just not.
Right, so maybe what we should do, to be fair to fig rolls, is we have successfully established, scientifically, that you do not dunk a fig roll.
No.
Because it doesn't taste nice.
It tastes fine. I'd eat it, but it's not. I wouldn't. It's not like a rich tea, is it? You think of a rich tea and I think, oh, they're fantastic dunked. But I would not.
I know, rich teas are not good dunked.
They are good.
No, they're not good dunked.
They are.
They drop off.
No, you just have to get it right.
They drop off and they go in your tea. We've not done rich teas yet.
We haven't done rich teas, no.
We'll do those next time.
It's a very plain
it will be
biscuit,
quite the... No.
It's the ultimate dunk. You have to double it to dunk it.
But I see she's changing the rules
No,
now.
you have to double it. You've got to have 2 biscuits to dunk rich tea.
I rest my case. Dink a sungle.
Dink?
Dunk a sungle. What? Dunk a single rich tea and it will drop off.
But it won't
So
if you
have to
only
double
go
it.
in and out quickly.
My gran used to butter rich teas and slap them together.
Oh, no.
This was the same gran that used to think these were delicious. Okay, I have to score
But
these
they
as well.
are delicious.
It's only right that I score these as well.
Okay.
So
They're not going to score well, are they?
4.
Right.
So, you said 9, so we split the difference, so 7.
I don't approve of a 7 for a fig roll.
Well, it's a combined score. It's to me, I don't like eating anything that I can still taste the next day.
You can't taste a fig roll the next day unless you have another one.
I can still taste that now.
I can, it's yummy.
Do you know what? I'm going to remove the taste of the
yeah.
fig roll with one of my Canadian butter tarts. Well, one of your Canadian butter tarts, should I say. It's really nice.
It is, they are lovely. I made them yesterday, didn't I, for Cooking the World.
It's out now, Cooking the World Canada.
Butter tarts.
Oh,
very
my
nice.
goodness. That's better on day 2.
Is it really?
Yes.
Right, that's interesting.
The pastry seems
There's
crisper.
some cream in the fridge.
Oh, I've totally got rid of the taste of those, which is really good. Oh, that's yummy. Thank you so much for making these.
That's okay.
It's made my day today.
Can't eat them. I could just sit and eat my way through a whole packet of biscuits. Could anybody else do that? Oh, it's terrible, isn't it?
I think what we've successfully established is the fig roll is the type of biscuit which you will either love or hate.
Yes, it's an acquired taste.
And do you know what? I
cannot understand people who don't like them personally.
I would like to know what you think. I'm very interested to know who out there likes it and who doesn't. So if you haven't tried a fig roll, please go and try one. Maybe Biscuit Banter needs a thread. Do you think it does?
Maybe it does.
So we'll set up a Biscuit Banter thread.
Yes, on Ravelry.
Can we share in there, if we tried a fig roll, what we thought of it, but also share biscuits that you enjoy. Mm-hmm. Let's, broaden our knowledge of biscuits. So Biscuit Banter will be back in episode 81, and will we officially be trying rich teas?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Well, the only reason I say maybe is just because it's a very plain biscuit, isn't it?
Well,
and
you just said that it's the best. You said it was the best dunker.
It is the best dunker. I love rich teas.
So
I love a plain biscuit, though.
Perhaps what we should do is have a bit of a debate then in Biscuit Banter. Should we do rich teas, which Kay says is the best dunker but it's a bit plain, or should we do something else?
Yeah.
But also, Kay, I think the bottom line is you will make a decision, and that's what we'll go with.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, that's what's happened so far.
That's
it's your
a bit
thing.
harsh.
No, it's fine. It's your baby.
Is it? Oh, gosh, don't say that. I'm way past.
I'm cool with
that
this.
Point.
I'm cool with this. I like the fact that you steer this segment totally. Okay. I've already learnt so much that I cannot stand fig rolls.
Well, you knew that already.
I did. So I've learnt nothing. Kay Jones, what's off your needles? Oh, there's nothing. I'll go.
Absolutely loads off my needles, everybody.
What are we starting with?
What shall I start with? Let's start with this because she's on the top of the pile and therefore
figuratively and literally
needs to be first. I always say she, but I always think of Goffy as a boy, but Bryony insists that Goffy is a girl. You will have seen if you follow me on Instagram, the past few days, I've knitted a little cardigan for one of Bryony's toys, one of her stuffies. This is the stuffy that she's had from the day she was born. Nana Wendy bought this particular stuffy, didn't she, for when she was born? And it's been with her literally from day one. You know, it was in her Moses basket with her, and she's had it with her every single night ever since. So she's now, what, she'll be 12 in October, and it's a little worse for wear, let's say. She's had repairs. She's got a patch on her bum. She's had a new tail end. She's past washing. I've washed her several times in the past. I can't risk washing her now because she's just so threadbare. And Bryony won't let me wash her because she likes the smell. Oh, it's gross. But anyway, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to knit it. One night a few days ago, she's like, oh, Mummy, look at Goffy's neck. You can see straight through her neck. The fabric is completely see-through. All the stuffing has kind of dropped to her body. And it's completely see-through, the fabric. And I just think, oh my gosh, that's going to go through, you know. And then that night I thought, oh, do you know what? Why don't I knit her a little cardigan that goes up the full length of her neck? And then it's protecting her neck, isn't it? And that, I'm hoping that'll preserve her a little bit. So I've got going on this. And I've used the pattern from Miss Gelato Giraffe. There's a little cardigan pattern that goes with it. It's a fingering weight cardigan. And I thought, right, I'll just use that, but I'll create a giraffe neck on the top of it. So I'll start with the neck, work my way down, because it's a top-down cardigan. So I'll do the little neck, and then I'll just carry on and do the cardigan. And that's what I did. And I chose a yarn that kind of matched her. I had some leftovers of Easter Sprinkles, a colourway that I did back in the spring, and it matched really well. So I'll show you. This is the yarn. Look at poor Goffy. So this is the yarn I used. So it matches really well, I think. And here she is. Look how ridiculous. Look. Don't look at her scruffy face. She's so disgustingly scruffy. But it works really well. So I kept it garter stitched for the kind of cowl neck, because I just thought that would be a bit more robust and stand up a bit better. I went down a needle size as well, just to make it a bit denser. And I put a lot of buttons in because I thought that would also hold it up a bit more. And we found, luckily, enough buttons in my stash that matched in this beautiful blue. And I think she kind of looks adorable, doesn't she? Look, I'll show you. So this is the original Goffy. It used to be musical. You used to pull a tail and there was a music box inside. Well, I undid the seam years ago and took the music box out because the weight of it was pulling down and making the whole thing worse, and it stopped working, the music box. So I took that out ages ago. So look, I've repaired her tail fairly recently. I gave her a new felt tail, and she's also got a patch here, look, where there was a little hole.
Is this Goffy 1?
Yeah, this is Goffy 1. And then probably a couple of years ago, from time to time, I look on eBay and try and find more of this particular toy. It's made by Happy Horse, and they are, I think they're a Dutch company. I think they're based in the Netherlands, and you can still buy, you know, their toys. They're not, you can't find them very easily in this country. They're not stocked very widely, but they always have giraffes, but the colours change. So this particular colour of Goffy, I think is from 2003, I think it was from. Bryony was born in 2005. So they don't make this colour anymore. However, I look on eBay from time to time, and a couple of years ago I found a Goffy that was exactly the same colour. It wasn't a musical one, but it was exactly the same. It was £8. You can imagine, I was all over that. A little face when I brought out another Goffy. I can't even tell you. So this is Goffy 2. So you can see Goffy 1 used to look like this. And I recently washed Goffy 2, and she came out really well.
That's not Goffy 2 TWO, it's no. Goffy TOO.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was TWO.
Not according to Bryony.
Not according to Bryony? Oh, it's Goffy 2. Right, okay. So this is Goffy 2. Beautiful. This is Goffy 1. Oh, isn't it awful what happens to these toys? But you can see how loved she is. Look, she's pulled off, when she was a little baby, she pulled off all of the mane, and oh, it's a sorry state. But look, we've made her better. Bryony was so thrilled when I did this. And, you know, to do something like that for, you know, that she loves Goffy so much. And she's like, oh, Mummy, Goffy loves it. Thank you so much. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. Do you want another? Because it's just so nice. So here's Goffy 1 and Goffy 2. And, you know, they're both very happy now that she's got a cardigan. So that's my first finished object.
She could have an outfit, couldn't she?
Well, she could, I suppose.
Sorry, a wardrobe.
A wardrobe, yeah. I couldn't.
She could have evening wear.
She could, yeah. I finished a pair of socks for Dan. Yippee! It's always a massive achievement to finish a pair of socks for you. These are the Knit Picks Felici, the worsted weight. And they are mismatched. I had 2 balls. One sock for Dan was taking 75 grams of the 100 gram ball. So luckily I had 2. And although they're 2 different colourways, I think it's absolutely fine. So the first one I knit is this one. And this is in the rustic colourway. Lovely. And this one has been washed and blocked. So it looks lovely. And the other one I haven't blocked. I thought I'd show you the difference with blocking. And then I finished the second one, which is the Doctor Who one. What's this one called? Oh, I'm sorry. Time Traveller. I showed you this one before because, I was saying how the cream looked like the dye had run. I've since found out that is apparently on purpose. It's meant to look like it's a tweed. So, you know, I take it back. That was my mistake. I thought when I'd washed one of them, it's come out, you know, a little bit. I think it's interesting to show you that the one at the back here is the one I've washed, and it is bigger than the one I haven't washed. So it has stretched out a little bit, but that's fine for Dan's feet anyway because it won't be a problem with his size of feet. So yeah, there we go. As to the yarn, I mean, I enjoyed knitting them. I'm not sure I would rush out and buy this yarn again. That's what I've got left over. So it's the Knit Picks Felici worsted. It was perfectly pleasant. I just didn't love it. It's not very, it feels quite squishy knit up, but actually it feels kind of cottony to knit with it, and there's really no kind of bounce going on. Do you know what I mean?
That's really interesting that you say it feels cottony, because I felt them the last time, and I said to you,
it definitely feels cottony.
I said to you that they felt like they might be quite cool and quite.
Oh right, it looks like cotton. I think. I don't know if you can see that if I'm holding it close enough. Kind of looks like cotton.
What would be great, right, would be if those socks wear thick but feel cool.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
Because that then would sort of be a nice cosy pair of socks to wear when it's warmer, like currently.
And I think it's quite fuzzy as well. Again, if I hold that close, can you see it's fuzzing in the ball? So there's a high chance that it will pill, I think, as well. We will see whether that occurs. But anyway, they're finished. And you've got a nice cosy pair of socks for autumn. They'll be house socks, really, I would have thought. I quite like the mismatchedness of it. That's quite fun, isn't it?
And these are all what's off your needles from Kay.
I know, that's finished object number 2. I did go on a bit of a finishing spree. I just really wanted to get a load of stuff finished. I felt like I'd got too much going on. I finished the next block of my blanket, of my Disney favourite film blanket. I should rename it favourite film blanket, shouldn't I? And this is all pieced together now because I've done 8 blocks and it's all sewn together, the 8 blocks. So I will show you the finished square. It was the Harry Potter one. So there's the finished Harry Potter square, which came out lovely, I think. Across, I think the ones I've done since we last spoke with the top row. So we've got Hufflepuff, is that right? I always forget the yellow one. I think it's Hufflepuff. Hagrid here. And then, of course, Gryffindor. So I I've seamed it together, and then I've seamed the 2 pieces together. So this is now, let's get it the right way up. So it's now like a whole piece of blanket. Can you see that, everybody? I don't know how much you're seeing. It's 4 blocks by 2 blocks at the moment. So if I do that, you can kind of see one end through to the other end. And I think just looking at the size of it now, I think it's going to have to be 20 blocks actually rather than 16, but that's fine. And funnily, I was updating the pattern with a photo on Ravelry, and it was on the 17th of July, I was updating it, and I'd started it exactly a year before.
Wow.
So
Gosh.
This has been on the go a year, which I couldn't believe actually.
No.
It doesn't seem like a year.
No, it really doesn't.
No. So my next block, Bryony and I have spoke about it, and I think she wants a Scooby-Doo block because she loves Scooby-Doo. So she's got all of the films, I think. So I think the next one's going to be Scooby-Doo, which will be super fun because all the characters have very distinct colours, don't they? So that one will be great to do. So do you want to do one now?
No, you're on a roll.
Oh my gosh, really?
She's on a roll, people.
Hang on, let me get rid of those.
This is a finished object first.
Amazing.
I don't think you've ever done 4 straight before.
Not straight, no. Right, my last finished object is my scrappy cowl. This is the finished cowl, look. That's one side. And I'm moving round, look, you can see. Isn't it fun? It's about 50 inches in circumference. So 50 inches of knitting. And then I joined it. Now, after me saying, I didn't know how I was going to join this, and loads of people sent me links to sort of Kitchener in, and lovely Erica did a little video for me. When it actually came to doing it, I just thought, oh, do you know what? I don't think I can face Kitchener stitching all those stitches. So I 3-needle bound it off. Are you all ashamed of me? And yes, there's a seam, but I kind of didn't care because I just thought, if it's going to bother me, I'll put the seam at the back of my neck and nobody will ever see it. So this is not my Kitchener, I didn't do a Kitchener. This is my 3-needle bind off. It's in between that, it's here. So, it's difficult even to see, isn't it, to be fair, because there's so many different yarns. So it's right there. And yes, there's a ridge. It's totally fine. So I'll put it on it's long, it comes down here, and the idea was I would double it and it's just all around your neck, and I just wanted it to be this really, just this sort of cosy thing around your neck, because sometimes when you've got a coat on in the winter, having like a shawl, for example, all at the front, it makes it difficult sometimes to kind of button up because you've got that extra bulk, whereas this is just around your neck, and I just love that it's so close to your neck. It's just really cosy, and I can see me wearing this loads actually in the winter because it's not fussy, it's just there, it can just stay there, and it keeps your neck warm.
I made the cataclysmic error of beginning a row of double knitting.
Oh, you didn't think you'd make it to the end?
And my heart...
That's why you kept saying do another.
Yes, my heart, I couldn't stop. My heart was like pounding. I got 3/4 of the way across this row. And that's one of the other amazing things about double knitting, is when you do a row, it's like an event. It's like a finished object all of its own. You've finished, haven't you?
Yeah, I think that's my favourite section. They were all the yarns from Jules. I think that's my favourite bit. I love that. Yes, I'm done.
I finished the speargrass. Remember, it's the hat that I left at the hospital after my operation, and we got it back 6-7 weeks later, and it's finished. It's finished, and it's the speargrass, and it looks lovely. It is a lovely...
It is lovely.
It's a lovely
It
pattern.
fits really nicely.
It's a lovely, lovely pattern. It's my favourite hat pattern. I prefer it.
Put it on, it'll muck my hair up.
You've got to do a bankhead in your life, but the speargrass is definitely my favourite pattern of all time. My favourite hat pattern of all time.
It's really nice.
Just really fun. And what's so great about it is 3/4 of the way through, the stitch pattern just goes into your head. So you can just get on with it and do it. I had an absolute disaster with the end. I should have magic looped the end. And I put it onto DPNs. And DPNs and lace just don't go together. So that's why I had to go.
You kept having yarn overs at the end of your things, didn't you?
I had to go from I went from the original wooden circulars
Yeah.
to DPNs to carbons.
Carbons.
And I mean, the carbons I didn't particularly enjoy, but it was fine. You know, it was fine to get the hat finished. But that was what Kay was referring to at the start. It got so tight with the constant slipping and changing over that I just totally messed up. But you helped me, and I picked up half of a stitch below, hadn't I, when I'd slipped it onto the carbons. And you well, that's how people pronounce them, isn't it?
They do, but I think it's just carbons, isn't it?
Oh, right, okay. So, Kay helped me and fixed it. But yeah, it's finished.
Yay!
And it's a good length, isn't it? You're happy with it, aren't you?
Yes.
Is there anything that I could have done better?
No.
Notes?
Notes?
Yeah, give me notes.
No, it's perfect. You
Right.
knit it to 8 inches, which is what the pattern said.
Yeah.
And then, because the decreases are quite sharp, so you need that length, otherwise it ends up too short on your head. And I like hats to come below my knee, my ears.
Below your knee? Did you just say below your knee?
I said knees
right.
for some reason. I was thinking of my neck. Below my knees. Because I like it to come
Maybe
from my
that's the
neck.
area between.
Maybe it is. Well, that's the area, because I like it to come below my ears, and then so it goes and covers the back of your neck as well.
That's the end of a rather mammoth. What's off your needles?
Goodness me!
It's time for Desert Island Discs. Yes, we started our Desert Island yarn, and we've now included within our Desert Island yarn question for all our interviewed designers in our Knitability magazine, which, as I've already said, is out today. It's Kelly McClure, and
Yes.
she was just the business. She's such a dude. But
Lovely girl.
the final question in every interview will now be, you can of course take with you as well 2 songs, and we're lucky because we get to take 2 songs every episode for 5 episodes.
Wow.
That's 10 songs. And last time we did first 2, which was songs that we were listening to in the 80s, and this time it's songs that we were listening to in the 90s. Mm-hmm. Do you want to kick us off, Kay, with something?
I will kick you off, and
You'll kick me off.
I'll kick you off. Even though I was listening to these songs in the 90s, as we said before, I think both of the songs actually came out in the 80s. And the first one is from a band who was, you know, in my teenage years and going into my early 20s. And to be honest, I still love them now. What are you laughing at?
Nothing, it just made me think of Nathan and his grammar rant.
It was a huge grammar rant last time, wasn't it? Why? What did I say?
You just said a band who was in my teenage years.
I think, yes.
A band who were in my teenage years.
Yeah, I know. I think I was thinking ahead a little bit.
They was in my teenage years.
That's terrible,
That's
isn't
excellent.
it?
Excellent.
Nathan's cringing. I can see he's cringing now. Okay, the band were more prolific in the 80s. However, I was listening to them in the 90s, and as I said, I still listen to them now, and they were my very favourite band, and still are one of my very favourite bands. And that was Duran Duran. Oh my goodness, I was the hugest Durani.
Is that what they were called? Or have you just made that word up?
No, I think they did used to call them that.
Right.
You either loved Duran Duran or you loved Spandau Ballet. When I was growing up, I liked them both, but I was definitely a Duran Duran fan. And my favourite member of the band was Roger Taylor, who was the drummer. Say no more. Oh, I loved Roger Taylor. He was kind of like the silent one, wasn't he? And you know, he just was in the background, and he was dark-haired and lovely, and
That was, I mean, it's quite a good description of drummers, silent and in the background.
yeah, I suppose.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfectly. Which is funny, isn't it? Because you would think, wouldn't you, with my character, that I would be quite the opposite. But actually, I like that a lot because I'm secretly very shy.
Well, we both are, aren't we?
But go on, carry on.
Now, a lot of you will be thinking that, well, she's going to choose Rio.
Oh, that's a great song.
It is a great
Oh
song.
my goodness.
And I could easily choose Rio. It is a fantastic song. But I really, really love... I love lots of them, but one of them that really calls to me is Save a Prayer. I love the way it starts. There's like I'm presuming it's a keyboard.
Yes.
Because everything was keyboard back then, wasn't it?
Yes.
All of the sounds were done on a keyboard.
A lot of yes.
Yeah, but I love the lyrics, and it's just you can sing along to it very easily. It's Duran Duran and Save a Prayer. Oh, love it.
Do I know that one?
Well, you might not do.
Sing it for me.
No.
I tried, folks, didn't I? I tried.
You all know it though, don't you? You all know it.
Of course they don't.
Well, they will.
There'll be
Everybody
a huge
must
proportion
know
of people who don't know that.
Everybody must know
I
it.
can't recall
You
it.
see, I just presume everybody knows it because
I can recall
know it
Rio.
so well. And
Notorious.
I don't like Notorious.
That's all right.
You don't know Save a Prayer?
I can't recall it. I'm sure I'll know it when I hear it.
Terrible man. So that would be my first one.
I did not listen to Duran Duran.
That's no shock. They were a girl thing. I don't know any boys who like Duran Duran. Really.
I was definitely aware of Spandau Ballet because Gold is a great song, and I was also very aware of ABC, the Lexicon of Love, which is a classic album. But I was not listening to those songs in the 90s. Now, it's such a tricky one for me in the 1990s because, because I've had to make notes. I was in my college years, so it was like an explosion of musical stuff.
And you were at music college.
I was. So, there was a whole lot, and I was immersed in music because I was playing in lots of show bands and doing all sorts of sort of musical stuff. And, the first band actually which came to mind, I was thinking more contemporary, what is a song that if you put on would take me back to the 1990s? Well, in the 1990s, I really liked the Spin Doctors, and I really liked the song Jimmy Olsen's Blues.
I'm looking blank.
Spin Doctors, people...
I've heard of the Spin Doctors. I don't know that song.
They're a great band. Jimmy Olsen's Blues, it's about Superman.
Is it?
Yes, it's a great song.
Dan found me 2 pictures, a few days ago, of Christopher Reeve, and he sent them to me because he knows how much I love Christopher Reeve. How sweet is that? Oh, isn't he? Oh, my goodness.
But Spin Doctors would definitely take me back to the 90s. But then I started to think about... You see, I wouldn't particularly listen to the Spin Doctors now. So I'm really torn. It's really tricky. I saw in the 1990s a video. I used to work in a music shop on a Saturday morning, and I saw the Buddy Rich Memorial Concert. I think it was one of the very first ones, and the song on it was called Sister Sadie, which was initially released in 1958 by the Horace Silver Quintet on the album Blowing the Blues Away. Do you like my research?
Is this all one song?
The song is called Sister Sadie.
But is this your second song?
And I'm talking about all the different songs which I could pick.
Oh, right,
yeah.
Okay.
So Sister Sadie, and it was Dennis Chambers. He was playing drums in the Buddy Rich band. And that would take me back to the 90s because I'm in the 90s, I'm trying to be a really good drummer. And Dennis Chambers, amazing drummer, still around today. And he comes out and he's playing the most amazing stuff. And you're sat there looking at it and you're thinking, I could never do that. And then at 35 seconds into the song, he turns his head away from the drums, he looks at the camera, relaxed as anything, and gives you a massive smile. And I'm thinking, if I was doing that, I'd be concentrating so hard, I most definitely wouldn't be able to smile. And that for me would take me back to the 1990s. It's also a really great big band tune. So it's very sort of, well, it's better than Strictly Band.
Oh, they're awful.
Well, they've got worse over time, sadly. I mean, it's some of the arrangements, but
yeah.
But what am I going to pick? Well, my first song. You see, I'm still not even sure now. But my first song, I think it's going to have to be Jaco Pastorius and the Chicken.
Oh.
When I first heard this piece of music, I got as near to as I've ever got to being high.
You've been on morphine though.
Yes, that's true. I've been on morphine. It was like being on morphine without being on morphine. A friend of mine, a really good friend of mine at the time, put this on. And actually, he was amazing. He knew the impact it had on me. And he bought this album when it had initially come out, and he gave me a copy of it, and I've still got it.
It's a vinyl, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a vinyl copy of it. He gave it to me. It'll be worth some money, that. And I heard this song, and if you put that on for me now, I'll be taken straight back to the 1990s, to a time when anything was possible.
I heard it.
Yeah, probably. Well, I mean, I'll play it for you again just so you can hear it. The reason why I love it, and the songs that we pick, I'll be putting into the thread in the Ravelry group, so you can go and see these songs. I'll also put that Sister Sadie song in as well, so you can see Dennis Chambers turning and looking at the camera and smiling. But my first song that I'm picking, Jaco Pastorius, The Chicken, and I'm picking it because everything about it was everything I aspired to be on the drums. and who's playing the drums in that album. Tell me now who my favourite drummer is.
It's not Buddy Rich, no.
No.
He's not a drummer.
Yes, he is, dear.
It's not Buddy Rich.
I've never ever said.
I don't know.
You do know.
Right, is it the man whose name's on the sticks?
Which sticks?
Isn't there a drummer's name on some sticks?
There are on many sticks.
It's not Vic Firth, no.
That's the man who makes the sticks.
Oh, God.
Who actually was a percussionist.
I don't know.
You don't know who my favourite drummer is?
No.
Oh,
Well, I do, but I can't think. We don't often talk about stuff like this anymore, do we?
Folks, what am I going to do? It's Peter Erskine, honey.
Peter Erskine. His name's on sticks.
Yes, on
I
some
was
stick.
right.
Peter Erskine's my favourite drummer. This was the first time I'd ever heard him play, and as soon as I heard him play, he became my favourite drummer, and he has been every moment ever since. So my first song is Jack Pastorius, The Chicken. What is your
my
second
songs
song?
seem very frivolous and very
But that's like our reading material.
childish compared to your choice.
Go for it. You're going to love my second choice.
Well, this is just going to sound so ridiculous after you saying all that stuff. I'm a woman of simple tastes when it comes to music, I think. This is another band that, again, were more prolific in the 80s, but I just listened to...
I would disagree. Well,
do you think?
Well, no, carry on.
Well, no, but he went on all through the 90s and into the 2000s, didn't he?
His most popular time definitely was through the 90s.
Right, okay. Well, it is Wham. And I feel ridiculous saying Wham because... I don't know, just because you've said all this... I know, it's not that one.
I feel like I'm doing a Carlton.
No. You see, I just like music that is fun and makes me smile.
Yeah.
And makes me want to sing along and makes me want to just have a little dance.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the music that you listen to.
No.
It's definitely not the same thing. But this one from Wham is not really a get up and dance one.
Hold on a minute. Last time I picked The Lion Sleeps Tonight.
Well, that's true. That is true.
So, don't make me out to be some highfalutin...
No. But I used to love Wham, and I actually had a picture... I had a full-length poster of George Michael on my bedroom wall. He was standing like in a jungle with water running down his body, and he just had a little pair of Speedos on.
Excellent choice.
It was fabulous. So it's Wham, and it's Careless Whisper. Well, do you know what? It still makes me feel teary when I hear it now. I don't know why.
Dark as dark.
Oh, I know, and it... that was so tragic. And so many people, I think, people in the music industry die in a tragic way like this, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Because... to be fair to him, he abused himself, didn't he, terribly?
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of them do. They get involved in these things, and it ends up being their demise. Well, and it's so sad.
Jaco Pastorius...
He was such a young man.
Jaco Pastorius died aged 35. He had mental issues and he used to go out and pick fights with people. He got beaten up and he just died of his internal injuries.
Right.
Sorry,
and obviously George Michael, died the way that he died, and I was so sad when that happened because it was so fabulous.
Yes.
I don't think there's anybody that had a voice like his. I don't think. He was just
Freddie
such
Mercury,
a fantastic musician, and but he had such a troubled personal life, didn't he? And that is quite often how it goes, I think, with musicians, and. I don't know why that is. It's just the scene that they live in, I suppose. It's so sad. It's like Michael Jackson, isn't it? It's so sad the way that they end up, and such a shame. But he's left such a legacy, I think, and I love George Michael, and I loved all his later work as well. But I had to go with Careless Whisper because it's Careless Whisper, and who doesn't love Careless Whisper, really?
You have just caused me to change my second song.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you choose Careless Whisper?
I didn't.
Oh.
I did. I really love... One of my musical moments of the 1990s was when George Michael and Elton John sang Down Let the Sun Go Down on Me.
Yeah.
When he came out on the stage after Elton John had sung the first bit, and it was just amazing.
Amazing.
But you have just caused me to change my song. And because of what you said about voice and because of how I answered. But before we get to what that song is. The second song, very difficult. Second song syndrome. That's what I had. I was just starting to get into slightly heavier music. Would you believe? Because I love big band, I love Billy Rich, I love, all that type of thing. I love a real cross section of music, but I started to get into heavier music. I really loved Extreme. With Nuno Betancourt on guitar and Gary Sharon, isn't he? He's the lead singer.
I liked Extreme.
And I particularly love the song Rest in Peace.
Don't know that one.
And the guitar solo at 3 minutes and 6 seconds.
It's very specific, isn't it?
Well, you need to know the particular guitar solo. I absolutely love that. But the song I was going to pick, you're going to love this.
Okay, I'm ready.
Came out in 1990.
1990.
Yeah.
Right.
And it has been, since the moment it came out, if you put this song on, I start to dance.
Oh, good heavens.
Guaranteed.
I'm going to have to do that.
I start to waltz around the room.
Right.
Because it is in 3.
Right.
That song is Saviour's Day by Cliff Richard. That.
You chose a Cliff Richard song.
Well, I've just changed it. So I haven't chosen a Cliff Richard song. Because there is a song. You've made me change it.
So you're not choosing Cliff Richard?
I'm not. That's the song I was going with up until you and I had that conversation.
Right.
And then you took me back to a time in the 1990s which was profound in my life.
Right.
And a song immediately, if you put that song on, I would be 16 years old, sat in my mum and Steve's car. I'd be sat in Steve's car, and we'd be going extremely fast down the outside lane.
He's terrible.
And he'd be taking me to school, and this song would be on. Right. And literally, I'm there now, just thinking of this song.
Oh, it's going to be some heavy rock
but
song.
No, it's not. It's not. But I wanted to pick. I really, really wanted to pick. And up until a moment ago, it was Saviour's Day. Saviour's Day, classic. This Kay. It was filmed in Swanage, which is down on the south coast.
Right. Oh, right.
Yeah, and if you go watch the video, and I'll put the video in the thread. If you go watch the video, Cliff and everyone is all dressed up all nice and warm. The problem was, it was filmed at the end of the summer, and it was absolutely roasting. I love that. I couldn't believe that when I read that. So the place specifically where it was filmed was Durdle Door. What a great name.
I've heard of that.
Sounds like something from Harry Potter, doesn't it?
I've heard of that.
Durdle Door. I suppose it's the Dursleys, Durdle. But what song did Kay make me change to? I love Queen.
Oh,
who doesn't love Queen?
Who doesn't?
Even
love
Bryony
Queen?
loves Queen. I put on that Live Aid 1990 Freddie Mercury. As soon as Freddie Mercury comes on the stage,
there's another one, Freddie Mercury.
and that when you
Gosh,
said
so many people
no one had a
that
voice,
shouldn't have died the way they
you said no one had a voice like George Michael. Well, Freddie Mercury
Nobody
did.
had a voice like Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, do you remember the first time we heard Mika? And we were like, my
Mika
goodness, he
is
sounds like Freddie
fantastic,
Mercury.
Yeah.
But the song, it's not actually my favourite Queen song. But this is a song which I would have to have on my playlist because it takes me back to a time.
Radio Gaga.
No, I love Radio Gaga.
Right.
The song's actually Breakthrough.
Oh, really?
Breakthrough by Queen.
Right.
And the reason...
Not one of my favourites.
It's not one of my favourite Queen songs. But
it just brings back a memory.
The memory is so profound.
Yeah.
If I shut my eye, I could start getting upset about it because
I know what you mean.
it takes me back to just a time when you're young and anything is possible. I'm like 16, 17 years old. The reason why I remember it is Steve used to. We'd get to where we were getting to. We were either going to a pub called the Wild Man, which was also en route to where I went to school. So we're either going to the Wild Man. My mum was in the car as well. Or we were on the way to school. He was going to drop me off at school, and it was such a cool time because, Steve he'd work a lot, but then when he was around, he would take me to school, and he'd give me £20 for dinner money. I'd get there, and I'd have a £20 note.
Yeah.
In the early 1990s. I bought my own dinner, everyone else's dinner, and a whole load of sweets on the way home, and I had change.
Yeah.
But what he used to do was...
I love Steve. He always has a wad of money in his wallet.
He's like Mr. 1940s
I never really
man.
carry cash. I don't think people do these days.
You do?
That's only because Mum
You're like the Queen.
No, that's only because Mum gave me
she
a
never
load
carries
of
cash. What am I saying?
No, I don't normally have a lot of cash in my wallet, but Steve's one of those men. He's like an older, from an older time. He always has cash in his wallet. It's brilliant to know, because he's always got cash.
But what Steve used to do was, we would get to wherever we were going, and we'd always seem to get there when this bass guitar solo happened, and he would like properly go for it.
Really?
Yeah, like
Steve?
doing this bass guitar solo, and then I would then join in. So I just imagine being sat in Steve's really cool car.
He always had
And I
really
was
fast cars.
Really going for it. It's a Mitsubishi Sapporo. It was. It was a white Mitsubishi Sapporo. So Kay is adding.
What? Duran Duran, Save a Prayer.
And
Wham! Careless Whisper.
I am adding Jaco Pastorius, The Chicken, and Queen, Breakthrough. We'll be back with more Desert Island Discs
Yes, well, tell me.
in
next
episode
time.
81.
He presumes that I
Okay.
know exactly everything in the whole world. And
So
I don't.
we
he
will be
needs
back.
to tell me.
We will be back. So we have it on film now. I am telling her we will be back in episode 81 with the next two songs. What were we listening to in the 2000s?
In the 2000s.
This gets really exciting now.
Oh, well, we met
Because
in the
we met.
in the 2000s. Oh, so hang on. Which one of us is going to choose
How
our
do you
song?
know? No, you're being presumptuous, young lady.
You're not going to choose that one. Do you want me to choose that one then?
You choose whatever songs you like.
Fine, I will.
You need to choose the songs.
I already know the songs.
That's lovely. I wonder if you'll be saying this in 4 weeks when we say it's time to film.
When I will have forgotten that I need to remember
You didn't
the
tell me.
songs.
I don't know those. What am I going to pick? So it'll be the songs that we're listening to the 2000s, and it's a really, really key moment because that's when we met. But also as well, something went on in my sort of musical life, which really made me go very hard in one direction. Oh no.
Oh, One Direction.
It wasn't One Direction.
We're not having any of One Direction. Oh no.
Do I know any of their songs? Baby, you light up my fire.
Oh, stop it. Gosh.
You are so
I don't think they're really trendy anymore. I don't know,
No,
they're not, are they?
Harry Styles is in Dunkirk.
What's he doing
Not
there?
literally, yeah. Ba-bum!
On holiday.
Yeah. Bridie did a Leavers Mass just yesterday, and they had to bless everyone.
Oh,
and
it was so
and
funny.
Bridie did, Tommy Cooper.
It was so funny.
Just like that.
The priest told them all to. They didn't know this was going to happen. The priest said to them, "Right, children, everybody turn around and face the congregation."
Grandmother's like this.
And they were all like this, all mortified. They didn't know what was going on. And he said, "Right, hold your hands out because I want you to bless everybody." Well, you can imagine the children. You know, most of them looked like Superman doing this. Bryony was like this. We were just.
Tommy Cooper.
I said, we can't laugh.
But we did.
But we did, and we were sat right at the back. We were like the naughty children at the
Sure.
back.
Near the door, nice
We
and cool.
were, yeah.
It's the Endy Bits, woman!
Endy Bits!
And we have to be swift, actually.
Yeah, we do. We've really gone on, haven't we? Right.
First of all, the next pop is actually on Sunday. Because of some issues with filming, do not miss the next episode. Oh yes. Because of issues with filming, we're not able to do the pop one. We planned it, the pop live, which was on the 31st of July.
30th.
So 30th, I'm sorry. So it's been moved to the 23rd of July, which is this Sunday.
This Sunday.
And we will be doing prizes, our quarterly prizes for the Fog Along.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
So it's quarterly prizes for the Fog Along.
Okay.
So don't miss it. Plus, lots of other exciting things going on. So
Yeah.
don't miss that. 2 p.m. Live on the Facebook group. The plan is to start doing it live on Patreon on the next episode of Pop. We're still testing that out. We don't want to push the boundaries too much and it not work. So still live and then published for everyone who can't access on the Facebook group within 48 hours of the 23rd of July.
Okay.
The Jane Austen KAL.
Jane Austen KAL starts on the 4th of August, which is when I've got it here, actually I should have shown you before, which is when my Longbourn, lovely Longbourn shawl is launched.
We have a special episode to launch the Longbourn
Do we?
in a very special location.
Oh, right, yes. So that's the Longbourn coming out 4th of August, as we've spoke about before, and I've done, some more yarn kits, as I've said previously.
And you'll be telling that update will be on Saturday for the yarn kits.
Yes. One thing I'll say that a few people have asked me is, can I say what the yardage is? You know, if people wanted to look in their own stashes. And yes, absolutely, I can tell you the yardage. Both of my skeins were 365 metres, which I think is about 400 yards. And I had this much left over of the main colour.
Well, you messed that up.
I didn't.
You didn't use it all.
I had, which is about 5 grams, and I had this much left over, which I think is about 12 grams of the border colour.
What are you going to make?
So if you've got 400 yards of each colour, then I'd say you are good to go. And, you know, I wouldn't choose a yarn that's particularly busy. Don't go for variegated, because you won't see the delicate stitch pattern. You want tonals, semi-solids, that kind of thing.
Show us your purchases.
Oh, well, there's only one thing. Yeah, I'll just mention this quickly before I show you those. I've also got, there's also going to be another special yarn update on the 5th of August for the Pride and Prejudice inspired yarn collaboration that me and Deb are doing. I spoke about this before. We're doing, Deb has done Mr. Darcy and I've done Elizabeth Bennet. So these were the 2 yarns. So this one is Dashing Darcy from Deb, Fondant Fibre, absolutely beautiful, speckled goodness. And this is my Lizzie yarn, which is Dearest, Loveliest Elizabeth. I've got all of my yarn dyed up. I kind of wanted to be prepped for it. So mine's all ready to go. I just need to speak to Deb, find out what time it's going to be. And again, we will both post on Instagram what time that update's going to be. But it will be the 5th of August for this yarn. Someone asked me if they could use these 2 together for my Longbourn shawl. I think this one, yes, would totally work. I think this is too busy. My yarn is too busy for that stitch pattern. So just in case you were wondering whether, you know, personally, I wouldn't choose this much sort of variation going on for that stitch pattern. So, and I thought that's the pair of socks that I knit out of my yarn. So that's how it knits up. It's just so pretty. I love this yarn. And then I just made one purchase recently, and I've mentioned before that Bryony's currently got this absolute obsession with Harry Potter. She's now almost finished with the 6th book. Is there 7 altogether? Is that right? I think so. And she's got about 5 chapters left, and then she'll be on the Deathly Hallows. So I thought to myself, oh, do you know what? I might make her some Harry Potter socks when we're away on holiday. That might be a nice project to do. So I picked up these 2 skeins of Heritage Cascade sock, and I think this one is, the yellow is mustard, and this is just red. And I thought these were perfect Gryffindor colours. So I'm going to knit her some Gryffindor socks. I'll probably do the gold for the cuffs, heels and toes, and then the red for the mane. So yeah, these will be Harry Potter socks for Bryony. And I love Cascade Heritage. I think it's great sock yarn. I think it's $6.99 to buy for each skein. And it's just really lovely and soft, hard wearing and perfect. So Gryffindor socks coming up even in the summer holidays.
Beautiful. That's it.
That's it.
That's the end, thank goodness, of episode 79.
I'm exhausted.
We can now get cracking, and believe me, there is much wailing and gnashing of teeth going on about episode 80, because we're doing all we can to make it unbelievably special. It's the launch of the Longbourn, and it is the visit which we've always been destined to make.
Yes.
So don't miss it. I shall say nothing more. Patrons' new Knitability is out today, so you should be getting it in your inbox within the next 48 hours. I'll also be uploading a copy to the Patreon page, so you can download it from there as well. But as usual, if you don't receive it within the next 48 hours, do drop me an email in the usual place, and I shall send you a copy. And of course, Cooking the World, which we showed, didn't we? That came out yesterday. Don't miss that as well, patrons. The Cooking the World video came out yesterday with those lovely butter tarts, which I'm pointing at, but it's not there. Because I ate it all, because it was so delicious. So thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
And we'll see you, patrons, we'll see you on Sunday for the next Pop Live. Bye.
Who's it sitting and knitting? It's Dan and Kay, the bakery prayers. Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kay, the bakery prayers. They'll take you to fabulous places of which there